Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we're diving into the demon-haunted world by Carl Sagan.
Oh, yeah, a great choice.
It tackles science and skepticism and all those big questions
It really does.
about, our place in the universe.
It's one of those books that, it's so rich and full of, anecdotes,
Yeah.
historical analysis, and, you always get that.
You get the classic Sagan.
Yeah, his blend of, scientific rigor and then that infectious wonder.
Right.
It's hard not to get swept up in it.
Exactly. And we're here to help you extract,
Yeah.
those golden nuggets of knowledge
Distill it down to the...
without having to
Well,
wade through all the pages.
Yeah, and we'll be focusing on those, key themes, the
Right.
aha moments that make it so compelling.
Yeah.
And we'll, dig a bit deeper into some of those,
Okay.
technical and philosophical points that he raises.
Now, Sagan starts off the book with a really personal story,
Yeah,
almost like an origin story for his love of science.
like a superhero.
And it's that anecdote about young Carl
Right.
trying to understand why nobody got mad after he broke a window with a rock.
It's so simple, but it's so profound at the same time.
Yeah. And it really showcases that curiosity we all have.
That inherent human curiosity, that drive to understand,
Yeah.
cause and effect.
Like, how does the world work?
Yeah, and that's something that Sagan argues is,
Okay.
at the core of the scientific mindset.
Right.
And he really believes that it's a way of thinking
Yes.
that is available to everyone, not just scientists.
Not just, the guys in the lab coats.
Exactly.
Right.
It's about how we approach the world.
So it's like that broken window sparked this lifelong quest
Oh,
to
yeah.
understand, how things work,
How the universe works.
how the universe works. And that leads us right into one of his major points.
Okay.
Science as a candle in the dark,
Mm-hmm.
a tool to combat superstition,
Yeah.
and pseudoscience.
What's interesting is how Sagan goes beyond just saying
Right.
science is good.
Yeah.
He actually provides a set of tools for skeptical thinking
That we can all use.
that we can use
Yeah.
in everyday life.
Not just in the lab.
Exactly. One of the most powerful, I think, is Occam's razor.
Now, remind me what Occam's razor is.
So Occam's razor is basically the idea
Right.
that the simplest explanation is usually the best.
So instead of jumping to conclusions
Yeah.
about alien abductions or something,
Right.
we should first consider,
More mundane possibility.
the more mundane, the simpler explanation. It's about applying logic and reason
Logic and reason.
before resorting to
Yeah.
those extraordinary
The
explanations.
extraordinary ones.
Yeah, and this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Sagan doesn't just talk about the tools
Right.
of skepticism.
Yeah.
He actually delves into
Yeah.
the psychology behind
Right.
it.
Why people are drawn
Okay.
to pseudoscience.
So it's not about just ridiculing
Oh,
anyone.
no, not at all.
Right.
It's about understanding that desire for certainty, that
Yeah.
fear of the
That
unknown.
makes sense.
That can lead people to embrace those beliefs,
Yeah.
even in the face of, contradictory evidence.
Even when it doesn't.
Yeah, when it doesn't quite add up.
Yeah.
He even talks about this case
Okay.
where an Australian TV show hired a magician
Okay.
to create a fake faith healer
Harley.
named Carlos to expose just how easily
Wow.
people can be swayed by, stagecraft.
The theatrics of it all.
Yeah, the theatrics and charisma,
Yeah.
especially when they're looking for
Right.
hope or a connection
Yeah.
to something bigger than themselves.
Something bigger.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how some people believed
Right.
that Carlos was real,
Even when it was
even when it was pretty obvious.
pretty obvious it was a setup.
Yeah.
It just highlights the power of belief.
Right.
And how easily our critical thinking can be bypassed
Bypass.
when something confirms our existing
I
worldview.
was like, we want to believe
Yeah.
what we already think.
We want to believe what we already think, so we
Yeah.
kind of ignore the things that don't fit.
And this whole section on the allure of pseudoscience really made me think about
Oh, yeah.
the rise of misinformation today.
It's like Sagan was ahead of his time.
Really?
We're bombarded with information online, and it's more important than ever
Yeah.
to have those tools
Those tools.
to critically evaluate
what
we see and what we hear.
and what we hear.
Yeah,
It makes you realize that the demon-haunted world is incredibly relevant,
it is.
even though it was published years ago.
It's timeless in a way.
It really is.
The themes he explores,
Yes.
they're just as relevant today
They are.
as they were when he wrote it.
As they were back then.
And you know, one of the things that
Yeah.
Sagan really hammers home is
Okay.
the fragility of memory.
Yeah.
Particularly in cases like
Oh.
alleged alien abductions.
This is a fascinating aspect of the book.
Yeah.
He digs deep into how memory can be
Manipulated. Yeah. Especially through
particularly through
leading questions.
Yeah.
Or even like hypnosis. And often
right.
unintentionally. Right.
Like people don't realize
They're not like
People
some
are like-
malicious hypnotist.
right.
It's like sometimes it happens.
That happens.
By accident.
Yeah. He doesn't say that all memories are false.
Right.
But he does introduce this concept of cognitive bias.
Cognitive biases now.
These are like those mental shortcuts our brains take.
Right.
That can sometimes lead to
Okay.
distorted recollections.
So it's like our brains are trying to help us. They are trying to help us.
But there's not.
But they're not always
Perfect.
Yeah, they're not always perfect.
Okay.
For example,
Yeah.
confirmation bias.
Confirmation bias.
Is our tendency to like seek out
Right.
and remember information that confirms
Right.
our pre-existing beliefs.
So someone who believes in like
Yeah.
alien abductions
Right.
might be more likely to interpret
Yeah.
a dream or a hazy memory in a way that
supports that belief.
supports that belief.
Yeah, and it's not
Even if it's not
like a conscious thing.
right. It's just
how our brains are wired.
how our brains work.
Yeah.
So understanding those biases
Is key to being more objective.
So we can't just trust everything that
we think or remember.
pops into our heads.
Right.
Yeah.
Not just when evaluating like extraordinary claims.
Right.
But in everyday life.
Everyday life.
Yeah.
Which makes me think of another one of Sagan's major concerns.
Right.
The state of science education.
Yeah.
Particularly in the U.S.
Oh, you're talking about that statistic he cites about a large percentage of Americans.
Like a really large percentage.
A really large percentage.
Yeah.
Not even knowing that the Earth
Right.
revolves around the sun.
They think it's the other way around.
I know. It's mind-blowing.
It's alarming.
That was a real wake-up call for him.
Yeah.
Highlighting the importance of
Right.
fostering scientific literacy.
In society.
In society, yeah.
Like if people don't understand basic science, how can they make informed decisions about complex issues?
Complex issues.
Yeah.
That's what he was worried about.
Exactly.
He argued that without scientific literacy,
Right.
we risk falling prey
Right.
to misinformation and
Yeah.
making choices that are
Bad choices.
detrimental to ourselves
Yeah.
and the planet.
And the planet.
Yeah.
And he doesn't just highlight the problem.
No.
He proposes a solution.
He does. He envisions
Science education that is engaging, accessible,
Right.
and inspires a sense of wonder.
a sense of wonder.
Yeah.
Like his point about
Yeah.
how understanding the true nature of the Milky Way.
That vast galaxy.
Yeah, a vast galaxy with billions of stars.
Billions of stars.
Is more awe-inspiring
Yeah.
than just seeing it as like a river of light in the sky.
Just a pretty light show.
Right.
But when you understand
You know.
what you're looking at,
Yeah.
it's mind-blowing.
It becomes even more
Yeah.
impressive.
It enhances the wonder.
Yeah.
It doesn't diminish it.
It doesn't diminish it.
And this ties into another key point,
Okay.
acknowledging that
Yes.
humans have an innate need for meaning
Meaning.
and purpose in the
Right.
universe.
Yeah.
It's a fundamental part of who we are.
It's something he recognizes
Yeah.
and respects.
He doesn't say...
He doesn't say science replaces religion
No.
or spirituality.
No. But he proposes that
Right.
science itself can offer a sense of awe and wonder.
Yeah.
It's just as profound.
It's about a shift in perspective
Okay.
from feeling small and insignificant
Right.
in this vast universe,
Which we are.
which we are,
Right.
to feeling connected as something much larger than ourselves.
To this massive...
Incredible web of
Existence.
Existence, yeah.
And speaking of vast universes, Sagan, obviously, had a deep fascination
Oh.
with space exploration
Oh, absolutely.
and the search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
Oh, that's SETI. This is where his own love
Right.
for the cosmos really shines through.
It shines through.
He presents this compelling argument for
Right.
why we shouldn't assume
Yeah.
we're alone in the universe,
Like, why would we be the only ones?
based on just the sheer number of stars
Potential.
planetary systems out there.
Out there.
It's statistically unlikely that we're the only game in town.
Right.
He uses the Drake equation.
Okay, the Drake equation.
Which is this equation that attempts to estimate the number of civilizations in our galaxy that might be capable of communicating with us.
So trying to put a number on it?
Yeah, putting a number on it.
Yeah.
And while it's full of uncertainties,
I'm sure,
it really highlights the vast potential for life beyond Earth.
For life beyond Earth.
Yeah.
And he also addresses, like, the challenges. Of searching for these other civilizations.
Right. The immense distances involve the uncertainty about what kind of signals we should be looking for.
Like, we don't even know.
We don't even know what to look for.
Or to look for, exactly.
Right.
But despite those challenges, Sagan argued that the potential payoff, like transforming our understanding of our place in the cosmos, it would change everything.
It would change everything. Makes it a worthwhile endeavor.
It's like he's saying, even if we don't find definitive proof of alien life
in our lifetime,
the act of searching
teaches us about ourselves,
about our planet, about the nature of life itself.
It's a journey of discovery.
It is.
Regardless of the outcome. Yeah. And that's something that really resonated with me. It's about that exploration, that push.
That push to understand.
To understand the unknown.
The unknown, yeah.
And speaking of pushing the boundaries of what we know, Sagan also dives into this story of a man named Alien. Who claimed to be receiving messages from the future.
Yeah.
Especially about
some secret
government project related to advanced weapon technology.
This case is...
It's fascinating.
It highlights the line.
It really does.
Between fantasy
and reality.
Yeah, between what we believe to be possible and what might actually be true.
What's remarkable is that Sagan, even as a skeptic, approaches this case with
curiosity
and empathy. Yeah. He doesn't dismiss Alien outright. But he attempts to understand his motivations.
Like why?
His thought process.
Is he doing this?
The psychological factors that might be.
At play,
yeah.
It's a great example of how even extraordinary claims, while potentially false, can provide insights into human psychology and our desire to make sense
of this complex world
we live in.
Exactly.
This then leads us to a crucial point. The power and fragility of memory. Sagan provides numerous examples of how memories can be distorted,
even completely fabricated,
especially when influenced by
suggestion or hypnosis.
He really digs into
the
unreliability of eyewitness testimony
and how easily our memories can be manipulated even without us realizing it. He talks about cases where
people
under hypnosis
recall
past lives
or alien abductions only to later recant those memories.
Say, wait a minute,
that didn't happen. Or find out that they were based on suggestions from the hypnotist. This section is particularly thought-provoking. Especially today. When we consider the debates surrounding
recovered memories.
Yeah,
and the influence of therapy.
How much can we trust our own memories?
It makes you question everything.
It does.
It underscores the importance of critical thinking. And being cautious about accepting claims. Based solely on
personal recollection. Just because
because you remember it
doesn't mean
it happened.
Right. Especially those that involve
extraordinary
events.
Which connects back to Sagan.
That central theme.
The need
For a scientific mindset.
Oh, it's a scientific mindset.
Not just in science.
Right.
But in evaluating
all claims.
All claims.
Yeah.
Including those we encounter in everyday life.
In everyday life. Yeah.
It's a way of
thinking about the world that's applicable.
That can help us
avoid being misled.
And making
bad decisions.
Bad decisions.
Yeah.
That's the power.
That's the power.
Of the demon-haunted world.
Of the demon-haunted world.
It goes beyond science.
It goes beyond.
It's about equipping ourselves with the tools. To navigate a world. That can be
confusing.
And misleading. And even dangerous. Yeah.
It's about being active. Critical thinker. Instead of passively accepting what we're told. And that's a message that feels incredibly relevant in today's world. Absolutely. It really is. And this idea of like active critical thinking, it ties directly into Sagan's discussion of science as a candle in the dark.
Right.
He's not just talking about the literal darkness, like of ignorance, but the figurative darkness of pseudoscience, superstition, and an uncritical thinking.
Right? Like just accepting.
Yeah, just accepting what you hear.
Whatever. Without
questioning it. And he doesn't hold back.
He doesn't.
He tackles some pretty controversial topics.
Like what?
From astrology
and
UFOs to faith healing and psychic phenomena. It's like he's not afraid to go there.
He goes right into it.
He even compares the witch hunts of the past to the modern spread of misinformation. And conspiracy theories.
Wow. So he's saying...
He's arguing that the underlying mechanisms are the same.
What are those?
Fear, ignorance, and a lack of critical thinking.
So it's like a human...
As a human problem.
Yeah. It's a sobering thought.
It is.
It's like he's saying that the demon-haunted world isn't just some relic of the past.
Yeah, it's not like we've
moved beyond it.
Yeah, it's something we need to actively guard against.
Yeah.
Even today,
exactly. He's not saying that we should just dismiss
every unconventional idea.
Right,
but rather that we should apply like a healthy dose of skepticism.
Demand evidence.
And
consider
alternative explanations.
Yeah, don't just jump to the first explanation that fits your worldview.
Exactly. And it makes you realize that critical thinking isn't just about debunking the obviously fake stuff.
Right.
It's about protecting ourselves from manipulation. And making like informed decisions. In all areas of life. Yeah, not just when we're reading about UFOs.
Right.
He even talks about how pseudoscientific thinking can influence our health choices. Financial decisions. And even our relationship. Yeah, it can be very subtle. Not always like the big dramatic stuff.
Not always the big flashy stuff.
Yeah, and thinking back to the Carlos example.
Yeah, to Carlos, the faith healer.
It's clear how easily we can fall prey to these kinds of manipulations. Yeah. Especially when they tap into
our emotional needs. Like we want to believe. That there's something more.
Yeah, that there's
something bigger.
And
speaking of emotional needs, Sagan doesn't shy away from discussing like...
No, he doesn't.
The human need. For meaning and purpose.
Yeah, he actually suggests that science itself can offer a sense of awe and wonder.
Really?
That's as profound as any traditional religious belief.
That's something that really resonated with me.
Yeah.
He argues that understanding the true nature of the universe. Yeah, our place. In the vast cosmos. It can be deeply spiritual.
It can be.
In its own right.
It's about appreciating like the beauty and elegance of the natural laws.
That
govern the universe. Yeah, the intricate dance of particles.
Right.
The vastness of space and time.
It's hard to wrap your head around.
It is. Right. But when you start to grasp it, it is awe-inspiring.
And he doesn't see and spirituality.
It's mutually exclusive.
They can coexist.
Absolutely.
One example that really stuck with me was his discussion of James Clerk Maxwell.
James Clerk Maxwell.
The 19th century physicist.
Yeah.
Whose equations unified, like...
electricity.
Magnetism.
And light.
And light.
Yeah, he was a genius.
Most people haven't heard of Maxwell.
I know, right?
But Sagan presents him as, like...
a kind of unsung hero.
An unsung hero.
He even sounds Sagan.
Yeah, he really admires.
What does he admire about him?
Maxwell's ability to see, like, connections that others missed.
Okay.
To find a deeper order.
A deeper order.
And what seemed like a chaotic world of physical phenomena.
So he was able to see.
He was able to see.
The underlying patterns.
Yeah.
And Maxwell's work.
Yeah.
Even though it was theoretical.
Yeah. Laid the groundwork for technologies.
Like radio.
Radio and television.
That we totally take for granted.
That we totally take for granted today.
Right.
It's amazing.
And it really shows how, like, fundamental discoveries can have, like, profound and unexpected impacts on our world.
Unexpected impacts.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Speaking of profound impacts, Sagan was incredibly passionate about the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. SETI.
Yeah.
This is where his own love for the cosmos shines through.
It really does. He presents a compelling argument for why we shouldn't assume we're alone in the universe.
Right, like we talked about before.
Based on the sheer number of stars and potential planets.
The vastness of space.
The vastness of space.
It's statistically unlikely. It's statistically unlikely. They're the only ones
out there.
He uses the Drake equation.
The Drake equation.
Which attempts to estimate the number of civilizations in our galaxy
that could be
communicating with us.
Communicating.
Yeah. And while it's full of uncertainties,
I'm sure,
it highlights the vast potential for life beyond Earth.
Right.
And he also addresses the challenges of searching for those other civilizations.
Right.
The immense distances involved.
Yeah.
The uncertainty about what kind of signals we should be looking for.
Like, are they sending radio waves?
Exactly. Are they using some technology we haven't even dreamed of?
Right.
We just don't know.
We don't know.
But despite those challenges, Sagan argued that the potential payoff...
The payoff being...
transforming our understanding of our place in the cosmos.
Right, like finding out.
Finding out.
We're not alone.
We're not alone. That would change everything.
It would change everything.
Makes it a worthwhile endeavor.
Worthwhile, yeah. It's like he's saying, even if we don't find definitive proof of alien life...
In our lifetime.
In our lifetime.
Yeah.
The act of searching. The act of search
teaches us about ourselves, about our planet, about the nature of life itself.
It's a journey of discovery regardless of the outcome.
Exactly. And that's something that I think is so beautiful about science. Yeah. It's not always about finding the answers. It's about the process.
A process
of searching.
Of searching.
Of asking questions.
Of being open to the unknown.
And that's what makes The Demon Haunted World so compelling.
It is.
It's not just a science book.
It's a book about humanity.
Yeah.
It's about our place in the universe.
Our place in the universe.
Our search for meaning.
Our search for meaning.
Our capacity for both reason and wonder.
Reason and wonder.
Yeah, it's a reminder that we're capable of great things.
Yeah.
But we're also susceptible to
delusion.
To delusion, to being tricked.
To being tricked, yeah.
And that's why we need science.
We need science.
We need critical thinking.
As that candle in the dark.
As that candle in the dark.
To guide us.
To guide us through...
Through the darkness.
Through the darkness.
Of ignorance and the superstition.
And that's a message that feels more relevant than ever.
Absolutely.
In today's world.
In today's world.
It's incredible how Sagan manages to, like, weave together, you know, these... big picture ideas.
Yeah.
With like really practical advice on how to think critically.
Right.
That whole idea of spinning alternative hypotheses, it really struck a chord with me.
It's such a valuable tool.
It is.
It's about actively challenging our own assumptions.
Right.
Not just accepting the first explanation.
That fits.
That fits.
Right.
We see this all the time with like conspiracy theories.
Oh, yeah.
Where people latch on to an explanation that confirms their existing worldview.
Right.
Even if there's very little evidence to support it.
Like we want to believe.
You do.
You know what we already believe.
We crave those explanations, even if they're not accurate.
And Sagan encourages us to like...
to be aware of that tendency. Yeah, and to actively look for evidence that might contradict our initial assumptions.
So be open to the possibility.
Be open to the possibility.
That you might be wrong.
That you might be wrong, exactly.
And he even admits that he's had to use these tools on himself.
He talks about a time when he was convinced he'd seen a UFO.
Oh, really?
Only to later realize
It was a weather balloon.
It was a weather balloon.
Or something.
Yeah, something totally mundane.
It just shows that.
It shows that even brilliant scientists can fall prey to these biases.
We're all human.
We're all human.
That makes it even more relatable.
Yeah.
It shows that we all need to be vigilant
about how we process information.
Especially in a world where we're bombarded with so much of it.
So much information coming at us.
From all directions.
All the time.
And one of the things that makes the demon-haunted world so powerful is that it's not just a book about science.
It's a book about being human.
It is about being human.
It acknowledges our fears.
Right.
Our hopes. Our need to find meaning.
Our need for meaning.
In a universe that can often feel indifferent.
Yeah, like it doesn't care about us.
Right, like it doesn't care about us.
And he doesn't shy away.
No, he doesn't.
From talking about the human need for spirituality.
The human need for spirituality.
He recognizes that.
He recognizes that science doesn't have all the answers.
Doesn't have all the answers.
And that people find comfort and solace.
Right.
In religious faith.
In their beliefs.
Yeah, in their beliefs.
But he also challenges us.
He does.
To be discerning.
Discerning.
Not to blindly accept beliefs.
Yeah, that contradict evidence or...
That could lead to harm.
That could lead to harm.
Right.
It's about finding that balance between faith and reason.
Okay.
Between accepting what feels right.
What feels right.
And demanding evidence.
To support those beliefs.
Yeah. To support those beliefs.
Yeah.
Don't just believe something.
Just because it feels good.
Just because it feels good, exactly.
Then that tension.
Yeah, that tension.
Between wanting to believe.
And
needing to be skeptical.
Is
something that comes up.
Again and again.
Again and again in the book.
It's a constant struggle.
It is.
Even for scientists.
Scientists.
Sagan reminds us that skepticism isn't about
being cynical
or closed-minded.
No.
It's about approaching claims with a healthy dose of curiosity and a willingness to change our minds when presented with new information. So be open to being wrong.
Yeah. One of my favorite parts of the book is how Sagan connects these ideas about science and skepticism to the broader context. Of society and culture. Like it's not just happening in a vacuum.
Exactly. He makes a strong case for the importance of scientific literacy.
Scientific literacy.
In a democracy. Arguing that informed citizens are essential for making sound decisions. About complex issues.
Issues like
climate change. Or genetic engineering. These are things that
affect us all.
And
he doesn't just talk about the need for more science education.
Yeah, he talks about the need for
better science communication. Like how we talk about science.
Exactly.
He wanted to make science
more accessible,
and
engaging
for the public.
Yeah, he wanted to inspire
that sense of wonder.
And
curiosity
about the world.
Around us.
He believed that science wasn't just about memorizing facts and figures.
It's not just about rote memorization.
It was about understanding how the world works. About appreciating the beauty and complexity of the natural world. He saw science as a story. A grand narrative. That unfolded over billions of years. From the Big Bang to the evolution of life on Earth.
And we're all part of that story.
That
narrative really resonated with me.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that we're part of something
much larger than ourselves. Connected to everything.
And the universe.
Through the laws of physics.
And
the intricate web of life.
And speaking of interconnectedness, Sagan doesn't just talk about science in isolation.
He explores its relationship to literature, music, and even spirituality. He saw science as a deeply human endeavor. Driven by our curiosity, our creativity, and our desire to make sense of the world.
To understand the world around us.
Yeah.
It's refreshing how
I know.
He doesn't see these different ways of understanding the world.
As being in conflict. He sees them as complementary. Different facets of the same human impulse.
The human impulse to explore.
To
create.
And to connect.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that makes the demon-haunted world so timely that it was written at a time when Sagan was already seeing
warning signs
of
what we're experiencing today.
Like what?
The rise of misinformation.
Okay.
The erosion of trust in institutions.
Right.
And the growing polarization of society.
Like we're seeing it.
It's like he was looking
right into the future.
Into the future.
And he warned us.
He warned us.
About the dangers of falling prey.
Prey to pseudoscience.
Pseudoscience theories.
Conspiracy theories.
And emotional appeals that bypass our critical thinking faculty. He called it a demon-haunted world.
Right, the demon-haunted world.
Not because he believed in literal demons. Right. But because he saw how easily we can be swayed.
Swayed by
fear, ignorance, and a lack of critical thinking. And his message feels even more urgent now.
It does.
In a world where misinformation spreads rapidly online.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
And where we're constantly bombarded with claims.
With claims that are just designed.
Yeah, designed to appeal to our emotion. Rather than our reason.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that we need to be vigilant.
To
be discerning consumers of information.
And
to be willing to challenge
their own
biases.
Yeah. And to return to the tools.
Yeah.
The tools Sagan provides.
The tools.
To be our own baloney detectives.
Exactly. That's what he calls it.
The
Demon-Haunted World isn't just a book about science.
It's a guidebook.
It's a guidebook for navigating a complex and often confusing world.
This world we live in.
Yeah, it's about reclaiming our sense of wonder.
Okay.
While also sharpening our critical thinking skills.
So we can appreciate the beauty.
Yeah.
But also not be fooled.
By the
BS.
Exactly. And it's a reminder that science isn't just about cold, hard facts.
There's beauty in it.
There's wonder.
There's a sense of awe.
It's about a way of thinking.
Okay.
A way of approaching the world.
Yeah.
With curiosity. Skepticism.
And a willingness to be wrong.
And
as Sagan himself said, it's about preserving and cherishing the pale blue dot.
The only home we've ever known.
This little planet.
We
call Earth.
Our home.
Well, I think we did a pretty good job.
I think so.
Of unpacking the demon-haunted world for you today.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
That
hopefully we've given you some
food for thought.
And
maybe even inspired you to pick up the book yourself.
And
check it out.
It's a book that stays with you.
It does.
Long after you finish reading it.
It really does.
And it's a book that's worth revisiting.
Yeah.
Especially in these challenging times.
So
until next time. Keep exploring. Keep questioning.
But
as Carl Sagan would say,
keep looking up.
Keep looking up.